Jeremy Vanderslice, welcome to the Post-Pandemic Pivot Summit. So great to have
Thank
us
you.
with us. I
I'm
know
excited
that
to be here.
this is a conversation that is going to get a lot of people going. So I'm glad that we have the time to connect with you. So let's start by telling us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me. So yeah, like you said, my name is Jeremy Vanderslice. I have a wonderful wife. I have two children. I work actually full time in the nonprofit world doing development fundraising. So I enjoy my job. Enjoy doing that a lot. Always kind of had a little entrepreneurial side to me where I like to kind of figure out ways to make money and different things like that. Um, so you don't find that as much in the nonprofit world. So I've always looked to learn and do things on the side, and big fan of side hustles and different things like that. So I've always been grabbing books on that and been
That is
reading.
that is super exciting because you are right. I spent many years also in the nonprofit sector in the field of education. But you're right. People have like in any fields really good hearts, and very rarely you find somebody like which has such a focus on entrepreneurship. Although I find it very interesting that you actually define yourself as a non-entrepreneur because you're
Yeah.
so. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I do, like I said, I have an entrepreneurial bend or side to me, but I definitely would not classify myself as an entrepreneur. Probably for the biggest reason being that I'm very risk adverse. Uh, I'm the kind of person that budgets out all my money, and I like to know where it's going. If I spend $10 on something I didn't need, I'm like, oh, I didn't need that, even, probably over the top too much, but I as much as I always wanted to kind of start something or make money on the side or figure that out, work for myself, whatever that might be, I can't bring myself to be the person that's going to go shell out 500, 1,000, $10,000 to start a business. I don't think I'd have it in me to take out a business loan. I just I am so risk adverse that I just it would cause me more stress than it would fun and adventure and peace of mind.
So when we hear you speak, I will think, anybody listening to you will think that, well, okay, then you're like a really good employee and you have really found your niche in that space. But there's another side of you. You have built this thriving side hustle and you have actually gone beyond and you're in a mission in helping people kind of like discover and find a sustainable side hustle that
Yeah.
it's for people that are risk averse, but it makes really good money. So tell us about that process.
Yeah, so I'll get into that. That I could go on forever. Actually, so I wrote a book called No Overhead, which kind of details more of that. It's a short book, like 60 or 50 some pages or so. But really, what it comes down to is my brothers and my family would always tell you I was like always trying to make a buck, right? Like always trying to make a dollar. But like I said, I never wanted to shell out money to go make money because I don't want to put out $500 for some kind of thing to sell and then not be able to recoup that money if it doesn't work out or I can't market well or whatever it might be. Uh, so about 5 years ago, my wife and I were both in grad school. We're young and didn't have a lot of money, and my wife was the first one to come across Facebook Marketplace,
Mm.
and I dabbled with like eBay and Amazon and things in the past, but Facebook Marketplace is kind of where I make the majority of my money now. But we just started like other people, just kind of selling the stuff we had laying around the house that we didn't want anymore, and we were making good money on this stuff. We had stuff, wedding gifts that were unpackaged that were past the return date that we just decided to sell. But we couldn't sell everything in our house, right? We needed some things. So eventually we ran out of inventory or stuff to sell. Fast forward, it was actually a New Year's Day. We were hanging out with some friends and we were at a friend's house and they were saying, they really wish that they had more time to organize and clean their closets and do all that and go through all their storage. And we said, we'll help you. Let's do it. And they're like, right now? We're like, yeah, why not? What a better thing to do on New Year's Day, right? Than start cleaning out some closets. So we did that, and they had all this stuff they were going to get rid of. And I turned to him and I said, you can sell all this stuff on Facebook Marketplace and make a good bit of money. And they said, I don't have the time. I don't have the patience to do that. And I said, no, I'll do it for you, right? Like, I'll sell this stuff and we'll just create some fee structure off it or split it. And we ended up coming down that, we split a lot of the stuff 50-50. So whatever I
Wow,
sold, I got to keep 50% of it. And
nice.
some things were small and, I'd make like $3 here on it, but some things I'd make $50 on.
Wow.
And then when I started thinking about that, it started snowballing. My mom was moving and she was getting rid of stuff. All right, mom, I'll sell it for you. My in-laws are always clearing out their house and always buy way too much, so they're getting rid of stuff. And I said, all right, I'll sell it for you. I just had friends' parents text me the other day and say, hey, we're moving. We got to clear out our garage. Heard you're the person to go to on this, and would you sell this stuff for me? So they're bringing a truck in a couple days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, of desks and furniture and some smaller stuff too, to sell for them, and we'll just split it 50-50. So uh, that's kind of the biggest way that it doesn't cost me anything. I never bought the stuff. It's not mine really. I just sell it and split it 50-50. And a lot of people will say they don't have the time or don't know how to work Facebook Marketplace or eBay. And I use, whoops, went dark there for a second. I use Facebook and eBay for different things. Most of mine's on Facebook, but in my book I outline some different other ways that I get stuff. There's something called retail arbitrage, where people go into a store and buy clearance items and mark them up on eBay or Facebook Marketplace and sell that. And that's basically no overhead, because what I do is if I want to do that, I go into the store, I buy something. If I list it, if I don't sell it within 30 days, I return it, right?
Oh
And it's
wow.
original condition, nothing's wrong with it, but I return it. And so there's no money out of my pocket. Big fan of bulk trash day. If you live in a neighborhood where people put out a lot of stuff for bulk trash day, I could drive around in my car and people are getting rid of. One example was I went and got a brand new, not brand new, but a speaker system that someone was just getting rid of. They just put out there, and people do it on Facebook and Craigslist too. They just put free, come pick it up. Whoever's first to come get it, I'll go get it, and then I'll just sell it. And for me, I keep 100% of that profit, right? So, um, I kind of am always looking for those different ways, and I've incorporated thrift shops into it and different other ways that I can find things. But kind of the majority of money I make is selling stuff for other people who just don't want to take the time to do it or don't want to deal with the hassle and are moving or just cleaning out some different things. And what's cool is, because I'm pretty risk adverse, if there's something risky I do want to do, I feel comfortable using this money that I
Hmm.
didn't have to do it. So for me, I love kind of the stock market and messing around there. That's one place I get a little more risky. Um, but I don't want to spend my paycheck and the money that my family relies on to mess around the stock market, right? But if I want $500 to go do that, I can go find $500 worth of stuff to sell for people that they want to get rid of and sell it, and I can then go start off. So, doing whatever risky thing I want. So,
I mean,
yeah.
that is amazing. That is really mind blowing. You're describing it as like this, easy process, and it is an easy process. But in reality, what you're giving us is a recipe to overcome a lot of challenges that people may be facing right now. So a lot of people, were not lucky enough to hold on to their job during the pandemic, or
Mhm.
they were a little bit more less, more risk, open to risk, and they're starting the business and quickly realize that it takes a little bit of elbow grease, to put it mildly,
Mhm.
to get your business going. And you're sharing with us a recipe that could generate some positive cash, some liquidity for
Hmm.
people to one pay, that, or just build a little bit of a savings, if you will,
Yeah.
or even build up to have enough money to eventually start their own business, or do
Hmm.
these. You could even do this full time, because you're beginning to tell us avenues in which you can actually grow this business.
Yeah. So honestly, some months I just don't. I have too much going on with my job, my kids, whatever it might be, and maybe I make $200 on this. I think I've made as much as 1,000, 1,200, $1,500, depending on how much I want to go out and find people. If I feel like, hey, taking 20 minutes and driving around on bulk trash day, I guarantee you, if someone's willing to do that, they could find easily $200 sitting out there on curbs. Or if you go on Facebook Marketplace and look at people getting rid of curb alert or whatever, things they're getting rid of. I went and bought or I went, somebody was getting rid of this kid's trampoline that we already had the same one. My kid didn't need it, but I knew I bought this new for $75. This one looks brand new. Somebody's just getting rid of it and some other things. And they put their address on Facebook, said, hey, curb alert. And I went and picked it up, and I went and sold it for $30, and just made $30 with a quick trip down the road. And yeah, so depending on how much I want to do, you really could make this into a full-time job. And people do retail arbitrage and that side of it,
Hmm.
and make that a full-time job. That's a little bit more um, outside of, primarily where I make some money. Uh, but my wife and I ended up using a lot of the money for stuff we were selling to pay for grad school,
Mm.
to
Wow.
um, to pay for various things. We bought a house last year, and a good chunk of the deposit to the house was stuff that I had sold for people. And
Wow.
and some of it really is. Here's the thing, like I I'm willing to sell something that'll make me $2 for a
Yeah.
person, right? Because people are bringing me stuff constantly. So if they give me 20 things that I can sell for $2, or that I make $2 off of, that's $40. But then they'll also bring me, I've a family member who, most of the stuff I sell for them, I make like $5 or $10. But occasionally they bring a computer part from their computer that I sell for like $500, $600, and I
Mhm.
made 300 off of it. So um, for me, yeah, you could make however much money you kind of wanted to put into it.
So it's interesting because you are basically telling us, you're treating your audience, if you will, in the same way that you will treat a customer, right? So
Hmm.
you're willing to treat them with respect, even look at smaller items, because you know that if you invest in their relationship, they'll trust you and they'll bring you bigger items.
Yeah,
So therefore, your business is growing just by you being, respectful and engaging with people and showing the
yeah,
results.
and you have to be. So there's like kind of two ways that I really deal with that. With the people that are buying things from me, always post exactly what the thing is. If there's anything wrong with it, I never try and hoodwink somebody. One time I had somebody that came and bought something from me that it was a kid's toy that was broken on one side that I didn't even know. They said, "Hey, it's broken." They paid me through Venmo, but I just Venmoed them the entire money back and said, "Hey, you can
Mm,
keep the item." And so because you also go on Facebook Marketplace and you can see, or
yeah,
these for sale groups, you can see people that are saying like, "Hey, don't buy from this person," right?
yeah,
Because and I don't want that. And then with the people who are giving me stuff, I keep track of everything I sell it for them, and kind of most of the time, if they use Venmo, what I'll do is the minute I sell something, I Venmo them half of it, write what it was for, and they know. I also have them tell me if there's like something like, hey, I have this computer part that I want to sell. I want you to sell for me. I'm not willing to sell it for less than $200. Okay,
mhm,
cool. I know that up front. I don't want to find that out later after I've sold it for 150,
yeah.
right? So yeah, just over communication with who you view as who the customers are in this is ultimately, I think, the same thing that builds a you know incorporate or LLC or that kind of business versus a side hustle. It's the same thing.
Well, the other interesting thing is that because your business has a payoff. I mean, you've been doing this for 5 years, so now you're an expert at it. But you have incorporated more avenues of passive income. So it's interesting that you have now not only pay out your debt and bought a new house.
Yeah.
Congratulations! But
Thank you.
also you're starting to invest, and that's an avenue that for you it's interesting and creates additional income. So you're multiplying your revenue at a guessing a pretty rapid speed.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something I always look to do. There's a book I read a long time ago that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, but it's Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm.
And that book, one of the biggest things they outline is the difference between an asset and a liability, right? An asset is something that generates money for you. So, for instance, when we were looking to buy a house, and we had the money that I'd save from my job, but also the money that we'd save from this side hustle, I bought a house that had an in-law suite so that I could rent that out, because a house in and of itself isn't generating any money for me, but an in-law suite will. Same thing with um, stocks and things that give out dividends and whatever it might be. Or if you want to start a business that's ultimately going to generate more money than this side hustle will, that's a great place to take this money and look to use it to multiply. And so, yeah, I think I always am looking to, okay, well, here I made $10.
Mhm.
How can this $10 make me 20 or another 10 or whatever it might be? And that's part of why I kind of wrote the book that I wrote, is just to share it with people that um, there's really, I'm hesitant to say this, but there's almost no excuse to not make money right now,
Mhm.
right? If you're complaining that you don't have enough money, but you're sitting at home and watching Netflix or something like that, and not doing something to make money, then that's just on you. You can. I literally will go out and put something that somebody put out for trash that I can sell and put it in my car and sell it, right? Or something somebody's getting rid of for free and sell it, and that makes me money. I think sometimes, and a lot of people I sell for, I love them, but for them, they say it's not worth their time
Mhm.
to sell it, and that might be true. They might make a lot more money than me, but if I'm apart from my job that I work 40 hours a week, um, apart from that, my time, if I'm not making money, is worth $0 an hour. It's not.
Mhm.
It's not worth 60, 70, $80 an hour, but so for me, it's not worth my time to go buy this trampoline or go pick up this little kid's trampoline that I can sell for $30. For me, it is worth my time because I wasn't making anything during that time anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Facebook Marketplace, I mean, last month, I just, knowing I was coming on with you, I kind of looked at, all right, I posted maybe 20 things, which is kind of on a lower end month for me because I was also working on the book and some different things. But I posted 20 things. Uh, Total time between all of that was probably like an hour and a half, right?
Mhm.
And I ended up making like $400, right? So
What?
yeah, just because, here's the other thing is, like, now it's gotten to the point where people are bringing me stuff
Mhm.
to sell for them. I'm
Mhm.
not even going out and getting a lot of things. And all that took was word of mouth and doing this long enough, right? That then this person's parents are moving and they want to get me stuff. And um, but there's really no excuse to not be making money if you want to. If you'd rather sit at home and watch Netflix and just do that, and so it's not worth your time because that's all you want to do, then I understand that and don't do it. Um, but ultimately, in the time I spent, making $400 in an hour and a half or so is not not bad, right? So,
I mean,
um,
chances are that regular people like you and me are probably not going to make $400 an hour in
right,
a regular job, right?
right,
So it's completely, I mean, you're giving us a recipe. You're absolutely right. There's absolutely no excuse to struggle because, I think that for many years, we were really focusing accumulating stuff.
Mm,
So I'm sure people have like houses full of apartments full of stuff that now that we have gone through the pandemic and we have been stuck in our houses forever, we want the space, we want the freedom, we want the, and we are ready, right,
yeah.
to implement your strategy and your ideas to start generating money, and creating that additional time, that additional freedom that so many of us talk about. And you
Yeah.
are literally telling us this is the things that you have to do if you really want it. There's no excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, I'll be honest, like this isn't, you go on Facebook and you see Facebook ads of people like, do you want to make $1 million in only 20 minutes? And that's all just people trying to get you to sign up for their course to sell that, right? This isn't this isn't even, I won't even call this like a passive income strategy. You do have to be willing to do a little bit of work. It's not a ton of work, but you have to be willing to work. Um, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, I can choose how much money I want to make on the side from this. If I have a month where people aren't bringing me stuff and I want to make a little bit more money, something I do that I share in my book is um, I go to my local thrift store. My thrift store, something that I love is I love golf, right?
Mm.
And I know about golf clothing and golf shirts, right? And I go to my thrift store. I know every week they have colored tags, right? And every week, two of the color tags are 50% off, and one of the color tags is 99 cents.
Mm.
So I went one week. I bought um, 8 brand name Nike, Adidas golf shirts that were there. Uh, all of them were the 99-cent tag. So I bought 8 for $8, and I sold all of them on eBay or Facebook Marketplace for over $10. Right. So um, now that wasn't no overhead. I spent money to do that, a small amount of money, but this is things, and I'm not the first person. Like, I'm not the first person to come up with with any of this. People have been doing this as long as the internet and eBay and Amazon. Those things have been around, but um, it's people will buy. Here's the thing: people will buy anything. I when we bought our house, I wanted to get a new patio put in out back. We had red brick, an old red brick patio that was unlevel, all covered in moss. These red bricks, and I probably had, I don't know, a lot of them. Right, I pulled them all out in preparation to do this thing, and I put the red bricks next to the shed I have, and I just posted. I said, hey, whoever wants to come get them $20. Um, and I had literally 30 people messaging me within 30 minutes. So I was mad that I only put them at $20. I didn't
Yes,
realize people wanted,
yes.
but these were red bricks that were covered in like moss, that weren't cleaned up or anything. And someone came, loaded them in their truck, and just took them from me and gave me $20. I
Yeah, you could make a lot of more money.
could have made more, but I didn't know at the time. And there's things like that. I mean, you go on eBay. eBay is one of the best places to look at to search an item and then filter by what's selling. And people sell things like bags of wine corks that they collected. People sell them so that other people can use them for art, and they'll sell them for like $20 a bag of wine corks, which
Wow. Yeah.
it's out there. People will buy almost anything.
So, I mean, to get started, you think that the first thing is like, obviously, we should go to Facebook Marketplace,
Hmm.
we should go to eBay, get familiar with the environment,
Hmm.
see what's selling, and then just try it out, start posting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I would recommend first going through your house and just finding stuff you don't need. So even clothes. So what my wife sells clothes more than I do, but what she'll do is she'll have like maybe 5 athletic t-shirts that if she sold one, she'd only make like a dollar or two on it, right? But she sells them all 5 together for $15 or whatever, on Facebook, and somebody buys the lot and she either ships them out or they come and pick them up or whatever. So I would recommend first going through your house. If you're somebody who doesn't like to part ways with things, if you have a hard time getting rid of stuff, read a book or watch a documentary on minimalism.
Mhm.
Right? I'm not saying become a minimalist by any means, but you'll at least be encouraged to be like, all right, well, I don't need that blender that's been sitting in the back that I
Yeah.
haven't used for 10 years, right? Um, so yeah, I would recommend first, like you said, familiarize yourself with Facebook Marketplace and eBay, go through your house, start listing some things, um, reach out to friends and family, and just, um, for me, a lot of, so my in-laws, my mom, my grandparents, like a lot of them have stuff that they've collected over the years that they don't know how to use Facebook Marketplace or don't want to go through the time of doing it. And so I say, hey, do you have anything you would want to sell? I'd sell it for you. And most people, they were just going to have it sitting in their closet, and now they're
Mhm.
happy to make $100 on it or whatever. So I would say, reach out to those people to get started, and just see. But bulk trash day, like I said, look on Facebook for people getting rid of stuff for free. Craigslist also still has a free section. I don't like Craigslist as much, just because you don't necessarily know who you're emailing and different stuff. Facebook, you can at least see if their profiles are real or fake. But yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of getting started right now. Somebody, I guarantee you, in your neighborhood is getting rid of a end table right now for free
I
that
mean,
they just want
it's
somebody to come get.
Facebook Marketplace is full of like come against stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and then you get whatever account you want to get, like PayPal or Vimeo or whatever works for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So there's two ways I go about this. There's Venmo, which I use, or people use Cash App. I tend to use Venmo. I also do Cash. I wouldn't, do whatever's comfortable for you. But for me, Facebook has a lot of people sell things called Porch Pickup, which means that they get a message and somebody says, "Hey, I would like to buy this," and you look on their profile, you see, okay, well, we have two mutual friends, or okay, their profile, that here's pictures with their family and they look real and they're not fake. Okay, what time do you want to pick it up? And so somebody says tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I say, okay, message me tomorrow morning to confirm, and I'll give you my address. I'll put it out on my front step. You stick the money in, wherever, whatever your secure location might be. It could be under a doormat, in between the screen, the sliding glass door, whatever,
Mhm.
in your mailbox. And so, I do that, and I just say, hey. And so my son's 2 years old. Sometimes he goes and just like looks under the doormat, thinking like, is there going to be money here, right? Because
Oh.
he's used to me going and just being like, oh, here's money, and we get it. So I'll do cash like that. If it is a bigger item, right? If I'm selling a computer part for um $400 or something, I'm probably going to choose to meet that person in the local Acme parking lot, or wherever, your grocery store parking lot or something, just to ensure everything kind of goes well for them and for me. I don't want to stick a computer part that's worth $400 just on my front step and be like, good luck. So yeah, that's the way that I mean, my Venmo and cash are constantly kind of the ones that where it's coming in.
So, as you mentioned earlier, as we're getting closer to the end of our
Yeah.
incredible time together, you wrote this awesome book that is called No Overhead. The link is below this video, so people will be able to access your book and purchase it if they choose to. But it is a short book, but it's full pack of resources. Uh, so are we expecting a second book soon? Telling us like
I
what to do with the
I
next
will.
step?
Yeah, maybe. I haven't given it much thought. I wanted to see how this first one would go. I would say, I just launched the book like a month ago. It hasn't been out there that long, but I also just followed up by launching like a Facebook page as well, and I made a website, where my next plan is to kind of start sharing stories of
Mm.
what other people, um, successes they've had and stuff they've sold, and different ways that they've found free inventory. Um, so before I figure out the next book, my next book might be a compilation of stories and
Mm.
different things like that. But yeah, I mean, the book, here's the thing. I'm not going to pretend that the book is like uh mind blowing, like, oh, I never thought of this or anything. It's just all these, it's tips and ideas and different things I use to make money with, on the side, without putting out any money. And most of it's selling on Facebook and eBay, and however you want to do it. But yeah, another book might be coming, but I would, if anyone wants to uh, share even a story of how they've done making, they've made some stuff money on Facebook or eBay, or I'm open to, Amazon, Poshmark, whatever people are using. You can Facebook. It's just You can search No Overhead Book on there as well. But I would love for people to share stories with me. And my next step with this is going to be compiling or sharing those stories through different avenues, whether on the website or Facebook, so that people can be inspired by what other people are doing.
So it sounds like we can continue to be in touch with you by going to the Facebook, No Overhead,
Hmm.
and then you have a website,
Yep.
nooverhead.com.
Yeah, and you
Uh,
can, my email's nooverheadbook@gmail.com. Again, I'm too cheap to go buy like a domain name. So just get nooverheadbook@gmail.com and you can reach out there. If you have questions or you want to know more about something that, uh, feel free to reach out.
This has been phenomenal. Very few times we get a very specific recipe that we can implement tomorrow to start making some additional income. And like we said, maybe for some, eventually a full-time
Yeah.
job generating a full-time opportunity generating income and then grow it into other revenues of passive income.
Hmm. Yep.
This has been phenomenal, Jeremy. We cannot thank you enough for your participation. You're at that you are changing a lot of people's perception of what it takes to create a side hustle and to create it with no risk.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for having me. This is an awesome platform, and excited to see also what the other speakers share. And so thank you for putting this together.
Thank you.